Hi everyone, thanks a lot for joining this session. I'm Boni García, I'm talking about Selenium, and I'm starting with a very basic question. What is Selenium? I know you know the answer, because as everyone knows, Selenium is a chemical element with atomic number 34, right? But, well, maybe you're expecting something else, because for us, for software people, also means something else. So I actually want to discover what the people attending to this conference think about what is Selenium. So if you want, please scan this code and join me in this little experiment to give me your opinion about what Selenium is. So if you scan this code, you can tell everybody what you think about what is Selenium. So you are entering. And let's get started with this little experiment. So answer this simple question. In simple words, Selenium is a So you are starting both. And in short, we can see your answers using a word cloud. So let's start discovering what you think about Selenium. Well, there is the word tool, framework, browser, end-to-end testing tool, saver time. Well, yeah, as expected, different people think different opinions, have different opinions about Selenium. So yeah, let's continue with discovering what is the official definition, let's say, in the Selenium web page. Selenium is a suite of tools for automating web browsers. And these tools are, on the one hand, Selenium WebDriver, which is a library for automating web browsers. Then we have IDE, which is a browser plugin, which implements the record and playback mechanism. And then we have Selenium Grid, which is an infrastructure which provides remote browsers for Selenium WebDriver. Among these components, the first one is the core of the project. Selenium WebDriver, it's the heart of this project. We people often say that Selenium WebDriver is basically Selenium. So for that, we can say that Selenium is a browser automation library. So what is not Selenium? Because I believe it's important to explicitly say what is not Selenium. So I believe Selenium is not a testing framework itself, and it's not even a testing library, right? So a couple of questions here. Is it possible to do testing with Selenium? Well, of course. The answer, of course, it's yes. Many people use Selenium for testing. And a second question can be, what's the difference between a library and a framework? Because maybe sometimes there is not clear distinction between these two types of tools. So maybe because I work as a professor at university, I had the need to make some definition from time to time. And in order to answer the second question, the difference between library and framework, here it is a definition of a library. A library, for me, it's a collection of code that we developers can use through an API to solve a given problem. Then we have a framework, which can be seen as a collection of libraries, tools, and best practices that provides a structure for developing software. So in order to illustrate the difference, I use an analogy in which a library is a bottle of paint, and the software we are developing is the canvas I want to create. So when using a library, I select the colors I want from my library, and I make the paint as I like it. But when using a framework, I'm going to have a similar bottle of paint, but also the framework comes with a frame. So when I'm painting a picture, I need to fulfill the limits of the frame and paint my painting within this frame. So the shape of my picture, the shape of my software being developed is going to be similar when using a framework, right? So again, Selenium is a browser automation library. So what can it do with Selenium? Well, I can do programmatically most of the things that an user does, but with code, Java, JavaScript, or other languages, like navigate to URLs, locating elements through the DOM, impersonate user action and clicking, typing forms, executing JavaScript, making a screenshot, and managing many capabilities of the browser. So I don't have time to cover all these features today, but You can find a comprehensive suite of tests that cover all the features of Selenium in this repository, which is open source. It's the one I created for a book I released 2 years ago about Selenium WebDriver with Java. And here I'm going to give you a brief example about how can I do browser automation with Selenium. So the Selenium API provides different capabilities for first modeling browsers. So first thing we need to do is to select a class to model a browser, for example, from Chrome driver for Chrome. And when executing this line, Selenium is going to start a browser for me, right? So programmatically, next, I'm going to do different actions, right, using code, Java in this case. For example, I navigate to a website, Wikipedia. So my browser moves to Wikipedia. Then I can start selecting the elements, for example, the search and input text in this page, right, and send the keys, in this case, software testing. So it's like the user was doing this, but programmatically. Then I can look for the button for making the search, right, and click that button in order to perform this search in Wikipedia. At some point, I will dispose the browser, right? So this is a test script, right, using Selenium. And Selenium has been a successful project. It's a mature project. It has 20 years now. In fact, this month is the birthday of the project. This T-shirt I have here, it's the one. The project has been done to commemorate the 20th birthday of Selenium. And this story began in 2004 when Jason Huggins created something called Selenium Core, which was a JavaScript library back then, which allows to impersonate user action in browsers. A year later, he created Selenium Remote Control, and with that, we started to create scripts, for example, in Java, to automate browsers. And in parallel, Simon Stewart created a different project called WebDriver. WebDriver was also a browser automation tool, but with a very different approach. WebDriver used the native capabilities of a browser for automation, not JavaScript. So Jason and Simon met at the Google Test conference in 2008, and they decided to work together, not to compete, but work together, and they merged these two tools in something they call Selenium WebDriver, which is what we have now. So since then, Selenium has been a very popular project for browser automation. It has been evolved in Selenium 3 in 2016, Selenium 4 in 2021. And in the middle, there are two important milestones I want to highlight, which is the creation of this standard, WC3 WebDriver and WC3 BiDi. These two are recommendations created in the WC3, very relevant and I'm going to describe in this talk today. So, what is happening today? Today, the release version we have is Selenium 4.25, right? It was released 2 weeks ago, right? And that's the current stable version of Selenium. So you can ask, what about Selenium 5? Because in the title of this talk, it's Selenium 5 with Java. Yeah, Selenium 5, it's on the road, but it's not released yet. When I proposed this talk, the idea of the project was to release Selenium 5 by the end of the year. Maybe for the birthday this month, but that didn't happen, right? We don't have Selenium 5 yet. It's in development, right? But, well, we don't have official date for Selenium 5, but fortunately, two of the most relevant features that we shipped in Selenium 5 are already available in Selenium 4.25. I mean, Selenium Manager, it's already available in the latest version of Selenium 4. And also WebDriver BiDi. WebDriver BiDi, it's already available and we can start playing with that feature. So I'm going to explain these two features today. Now, next point is how to make testing with Selenium, because I said that Selenium is a browser automation library, but the main use of Selenium is testing. So when using Selenium for testing, we are going to need additional tools. First, typically we need a unit testing framework, right? In order to create actual tests, complete tests, we need to embed the Selenium calls within a test. A test is a piece of code, right, that basically interacts with a software component. We call it system under test. And from a theoretical point of view, a test has 4 different steps. First, we have an optional step to initialize the system under test, to make something at the very beginning. Then we need to exercise. We need to make some operation in the system under test and get some outcome in response. And with that response, with that outcome, we typically made one or several assertions, right? We verify that the system is behaving as expected. With that, we have a verdict. The test pass or the test fails. Finally, and optionally, we have a step to finalize, to clean everything and leave the system under test in the original state. As you probably know, in Java, we have different unit testing framework. 2 of the most popular, as you probably know, it's JUnit. Version 5 is the one we are using today. Another one is TestNG, another very popular unit testing framework in Java. So when testing with Selenium, I would select one of these testing framework. My personal choice is JUnit 5, but of course, TestNG or even other like Spock is also possible. Then, of course, we are going to need a build tool, right? We need to resolve the Selenium Java dependency, the JUnit Jupyter dependency as well, typically for the unit testing framework, and other tools. For example, AssertJ is a library I like very much for creating readable assertions, right? So, yeah, we typically will use Maven or Gradle to resolve all the dependencies in our project. Notice that we are using the test scope in both cases because now we are creating tests, not creating the actual software, but the test for our system under test. And of course, in order to testing with Selenium, what we need is browsers, right? Because testing Selenium automates browsers, so we need one or several browsers, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, etc. So, as I said, there are 2 groups of browsers in the eyes of Selenium. First, we might have local browsers, so browsers that are locally installed in the machine which is running the test. So for that, Selenium API provides different classes to model a browser with different objects, so Chrome driver for Chrome, Firefox driver for Firefox, and so on and so forth. And then we have remote browsers. So these browsers are not executed in the machine running the test, but are somewhere else in a different host. For that, we might use, for example, Selenium Grid, which I introduced in the beginning, is infrastructure, which provide these remote browsers. And also we can use cloud solutions, right? Like companies like Soslat, Landates, or Browser Stack, among others, that provides remote browser infrastructure and other services. In those cases, the Selenium API provides the remote WebDriver object, and simply with an URL, we can select our remote Selenium server and interact with the remote browser through HTTP. So, in both cases, when using local and remote browsers, there is going to be something very specific of the Selenium architecture which deserves a special attention. Now, in this slide, I'm going to explain this detail. For that, I'm going to focus in the architecture of local browsers. So first, we are having a script, a test that is using the Selenium API. On the other hand, we have the browsers, which, of course, the browsers are interactive through HTTP with the web under test. So in this architecture, there is a very important piece, which is the driver. The driver, it's a binary file which interacts with the browser, and it's in the middle of the Selenium test and the browser itself. And this file, for example, is Chrome driver for managing Chrome, Gecko driver for Firefox, Edge driver for Edge, and so on. It's very important because, on the one hand, talks the native communication with the browser, right? And on the other hand, it talks a protocol which is a standard now, which is the WC3 WebDriver specification. This specification is a communication protocol based on JSON messaging over HTTP. It started in the Selenium project, and with time, it has become a standard. So that's a great achievement, in my opinion, of the Selenium project, that this protocol now it's a standard that browser vendors should follow in order to provide capabilities for browser automation through these kind of tools like Selenium. So this driver is very specific, very important in Selenium, but it imposes a strong requirement when developing Selenium tests, because someone needs to what I call manage this driver. Manage for me drivers means download, set up, and maintain these drivers. So yeah, that was a problem, a real problem. I am talking in the past because now, fortunately, this is not a problem anymore, as I'm going to explain. But in the old days, we need to do something like that, and that this is the first complete Selenium test I'm showing today. As you can see, it's JUnit. For those that you don't know, it's a JUnit test because I'm using different annotation to specify the methods of the different parts of the test, the before, the test, and the after, right? What happens after, during the test, and after, and before, sorry. So the first method we see in this class is the before all, which happens before all the tests in this class. This is a very ugly line, right, in which we are setting the path of the Chrome driver, which typically has been manually downloaded in the local hard drive of my computer. So this was the recommended way in the old days of Selenium. So if you use Selenium 3, for example, this was the recommended way to resolve this Chrome driver. Of course, this is deprecated. You are not supposed to do this anymore because this is very bad for your maintainability, for your execution, because you are only be able to execute this in your own machine. So yeah, that's very bad. After that, by the way, we have the Chrome driver execution in the before each. We have the test, and we dispose the browser after the test. So this driver management was a real problem for Selenium users, because because browsers has a feature which is called evergreen. Modern web browsers automatically and silently upgrade to the next version once it's available. For that, we say that web browsers are evergreen. And this feature is great for end users, but it's challenging for testers. And let's see an example. Suppose you have Chrome 126 in your computer, and you want to drive this browser through Selenium. In that case, you should resolve this Chrome driver 126.0, whatever. Okay. This is the version, the proper version for driving Chrome, and your test will be executed. Time goes by, and since Chrome is evergreen, we bump to next version 127 at some point. But you continue using Chrome driver 126. Yeah, this time you're lucky because these two versions are compatible and your test continues running. But eventually your Chrome will go to 128. You continue using the old Chrome driver, you download it, and this time you are not lucky because these two versions are incompatible. So that day your test will fail because that version of Chrome driver is only supporting all Chrome versions. So because of this, 9 years ago, time flies, I created this tool, WebDriverManager, which is a library which implements what we call the automated driver management problem. So yeah, it's starting with this only feature, automated driver management for Selenium, and nowadays it has additional features for developing Selenium scripts in Java. So a hello world test with Selenium and WebDriverManager looks like this. In the setup class, we use this WebDriver class with the Chrome driver object to simply set up to resolve Chrome driver for my test. And that works, right? This is simple, but that simplicity, yeah, makes that this has been a popular tool. It has been ported to other languages, JavaScript and Python, for example. And yeah, that somehow solved a problem. But what happens with the Selenium project? What thought about this? Well, in 2021, the Selenium project thought that this was not a problem the Selenium should solve. It's like they said that Selenium was a not all batteries including tool. But in that year, they surveyed the users, and the results of this survey in the Selenium project revealed that Selenium users wanted this feature within Selenium out of the box. They wanted what they call batteries included. They wanted automatic driver management. So that's the way in which I joined the Selenium project as a committer 2 years ago, because the Selenium project wanted to implement this feature, and somehow I had the expertise of maintaining WebDriverManager, which solved this problem. And this way, together we created a new tool called Selenium Manager, which currently is in beta, but is already available in Selenium 4. So what is Selenium Manager? Selenium Manager is a CLI tool, right? The idea is that we are going to have an universal interface that all the Selenium languages use for resolving this problem, the automatic driver management. It has been developed in Rust. So I am the one who created Selenium Manager in Rust, and the rest of the Selenium team integrated this CLI tool in the different languages, Java, JavaScript, Python, and so on. This Rust binary is compiled to Windows, Mac, and Linux. So these binaries are distributed within each Selenium release. So now we can say that each Selenium release has these batteries included that the Selenium developers demanded. Now, what are the features of Selenium Manager? Well, as I said, the first and maybe the most important is the automatic driver management. Exactly in the same way that WebDriverManager does, Selenium Manager automatically discovers, downloads, and cache the drivers required by Selenium. This process we can see in 3 stages. First, Selenium Manager discover the browser version you are using. So imagine you have in your local system Chrome 128. Okay, with that version, Selenium Manager should discover what is the proper driver version, because not all driver versions are going to be compatible. So using all endpoints maintaining my Chrome driver, Selenium Manager will discover that the proper driver version is a given one. So finally, knowing that version, Selenium Manager downloads and put the file on the cache, and of course, next time it will be used from the cache. So this is basically in short, the algorithm implemented by Selenium Manager. But all of this complexity, it's hidden from the user, because now hello world test in the Selenium 5 way, it's as simple as that. There is no anything about Chrome driver binary at all. We simply create a Chrome driver object in Java, and internally, the binding use Selenium Manager to resolve the driver transparently and without problem for users. Now, this is the first big feature of Selenium Manager, already available, by the way. But also, we have something else now. We have automated browser management, not driver, but browser. So the idea is that Selenium Manager automatically discovers, downloads, and cache also browsers, right? No, not only drivers, but browsers. When these browsers are not installed in the local system. Back in the day, when using Selenium, a requirement is to have the browser itself, right? If you don't have, for example, Chrome, you cannot, of course, drive Chrome. Well, this is not true anymore, because now, if you don't have the browser, Selenium Manager is going to manage for you. It's going to download and going to set up, and it's going to maintain the browser for you. So the matrix that Selenium Manager supports, it's like that. Chrome, we use this new version of Chrome called Chrome-for-Testing. Chrome-for-Testing is a special release of Chrome, special for testing, in the sense that it's not evergreen. You can pin a browser version, and you are not going to use your user profiles, right? So yeah, it's specific for testing. It was released a year ago, something like that, a bit, yeah, in the summer, I believe, last year. So Selenium Manager is using Chrome-for-Testing for, yeah, when it's not available, download and make available for the test, both in Windows, Linux, and Mac. The same happened in Firefox. In Firefox, using the official releases of Firefox, Selenium Manager automatically downloads and put available the binary distribution, by the way, in the cache, right? It's stored in there. In Edge, well, it works in all operating systems, but there is an asterisk, because for Windows, yeah, the Windows distribution of Edge is done through the MSI package, which requires administrator permissions, right? I tried to hack this file in order to extract the browser from this installer, but this was impossible. I believe it's encoded in a strange way. So I tried too hard to extract, but nothing works. So it works in the sense that if you want to manage the Edge in Windows, you will require admin permissions, and it will be installed in the program files, the usual program files folder. So this is already available. This Selenium Manager feature, it's already available in Selenium. So if you didn't know, I invite you to try it. For example, imagine you have a basic text like this using Firefox driver this time, but you don't have Firefox in your computer. Yeah, in old version of Selenium, this was going to fail because you need Firefox. But nowadays, with Selenium Manager, now this tool, Selenium Manager, will manage the browser for you. And even more important, right? We, in addition to stable versions, because this I didn't mention, but of course we are going to resolve the current stable version of Firefox. In addition to that, Selenium Manager also allows to resolve specific browser versions. Imagine you want, I don't know, Chrome 120 for some reason. You want to run some test. Well, you simply specify the browser version using the Java API, for example, and Selenium Manager will download that version for you. And in addition, there is these labels accepted, beta, dev, or nightly, because if you want to use, for example, Chrome beta, you simply need to specify this, and Selenium Manager will download the binary distribution of Chrome-for-Testing beta for you. That for me it's a relevant feature because, yeah, we testers typically want to know in advance if a newer version breaks something on my application, and yeah, simply with that you can parameterize a test with different labels. You can select different browser versions, and Selenium Manager will resolve this for you. So this is about browser management, and Selenium Manager might have other uses. I invite you to take a look to the documentation if you want to discover everything. For example, the advanced configuration Selenium Manager have rich configuration capabilities through environment variables or a global configuration file. And of course, it's a CLI tool. If you need for your use case driver management or browser management, you can use this tool from the shell. Now, what happened with WebDriverManager? It's not useful anymore. That's a question that sometimes people ask me. What happened now with Selenium Manager and WebDriverManager? Is Selenium Manager a replacement for WebDriverManager? Well, I created that part of the documentation of WebDriverManager to try to answer this question. And here I'm going to summarize. So yeah, if you are using WebDriverManager only for driver management, yeah, you can replace. You can simply stop using WebDriverManager and relying on Selenium Manager, which should work as well. But both projects have different features, and for that I continue maintaining WebDriverManager. As I said, Selenium Manager has this automated browser management through the binary distribution of the browsers. And WebDriverManager has a similar feature, but with a different approach. WebDriverManager uses Docker for automated browser management. So yeah, that's something I'm going to explain with example. In addition, WebDriverManager has monitoring features in order, for example, to collect the console log easily. And lastly, but very important, in my opinion, WebDriverManager allows to record the browser session very easily. I think that's something that can be appealing for troubleshooting. So let's see a couple of examples about this. First, about browser management with WebDriverManager through Docker. Now, in here we are using WebDriverManager in the before its method, right? Using this builder pattern through the Chrome driver method, and simply by invoking this method browser in Docker, right? We are telling that to WebDriverManager that we want to get the latest Docker image from Docker Hub about Chrome, download, start the container, and use this browser in Docker for running my test, right? So all of this complexity, it's hidden in this line, right? WebDriverManager discover the latest version, well, the stable version of Chrome, pull from Docker Hub, start, and yeah, use that browser in Docker for my test. With this, we are delegating somehow all the infrastructure to Docker, right? Of course, we need Docker in the machine running this test, but after that, we simply invoke this method and browser and WebDriverManager that do the magic for us. So, in addition to this, we can do something like that. Invoke this method using the builder pattern, enable recording, right? So, in this case, it's going to happen the same. It's going to pull the Docker image from Docker Hub, starting the container, everything. But when starting the session, there will be another additional container which is going to record the interaction that my test does automatically. So as a result, when the test finish, I will get a MP4 file, a video recording with the complete iteration of the browser in my local file. And that's makes a difference, right? I am talking now as a tester because I used to be a Selenium WebDriver tester, and especially when you have hard tests, difficult system you are developing, and when a test fails, troubleshooting failing tests can be time-consuming, and you need everything you may have to analyze the failure. And having the recording makes a difference. So with this, in a single line, you will get the recording easily and from Java. So, by the way, every code which I'm explaining in here, it's in GitHub in different repositories, open source repositories. And at the end of the session, I will provide the QR code with the slides, just in case you want to check the code, the examples, or the URLs. So this is all about Selenium Manager and WebDriverManager. Let's move now to the next big group, which has to do with WebDriver BiDi. And for introducing WebDriver BiDi, first I need to introduce Chrome DevTools. Chrome DevTools, as probably many of you know, it's a set of tools that are built in Chromium browsers, Chrome and Edge. So web engineers use this tool all the time, right? For inspecting the sources, the console, network, performance, memory, many features, very many appealing features for web development. So within DevTools, we find the Chrome DevTools Protocol, CDP, which is a set of APIs that allows developers to instrument, inspect, debug, and profile Chromium-based browser. So, CDP, this set of APIs are great for browser automation, right? In fact, CDP is the basic or different tool to Selenium, which is called Puppeteer. Puppeteer is a Node.js browser automation library, so it's similar to Selenium, but from Google. And it's based on CDP, this communication protocol. It's the equivalent to WebDriver, but it's custom made by Chromium, right? And CDP, I had to say, it's great. CDP has been created by Google and has many different features. Beyond WebDriver, there are features that are available in CDP which are not available in WebDriver. So this is, I believe, great news for the browser automation space, that different actors, not only the Selenium project, create great tools and great features. And because it's great, the Selenium project has been done twice actions. First, Selenium supports CDP since version 4. So version 4 was 2021. So Selenium allows to make the use of these features, CDP features, through Selenium tests, right? For example, network intersection and monitoring, device emulation, performance metrics collection, entire package screenshot, which was something impossible until now, and security and authentication. Again, we don't have time to see every single feature one by one, but if you are interested in these features, I recommend you again to take a look to this open source repository in which you will find different examples using CDP and Selenium. Now, the second thing that Selenium is doing now is promoting this new standard, which is WebDriver BiDi. Because, yeah, CDP is great, but I believe it has a problem. That it's not standard, right? CDP has been created by the Chromium team. It's great, but it's not standard. And for example, Firefox is not implementing CDP. It's implementing a portion only, but it's not a standard. It's not available in other browsers like Safari. So yeah, I believe that the standard is a great force for the web, like it happened from the very beginning with HTTP, HTML. I believe that the web requires standards to make an agreement of what we want and what we want to implement. So this is happening now. This WebDriver BiDi specification, it's being created. And the idea is to combine the best of these two worlds, the already existing WebDriver protocol, with today we call WebDriver Classic, right? This communication protocol based on HTTP, and with this driver in the middle of the client and the browser. And we are creating, well, not me, that the WCC web group is creating this new specification WebDriver BiDi. And it has some ideas from CDP. CDP uses a WebSocket communication between the client and the browser, and WebDriver BiDi it's adopting this because it's a better idea than using HTTP. You know, request response is not only the best, but having the chance of each peer of the communication starts through a WebSocket, well, it's a great idea for new features. So yeah, this is happening now, and yeah, WebDriver BiDi has appealing new features, right? This bidirectional connection through XOpen, event-driven architecture, for example, for log gathering, and other modern features that were not available in the WebDriver Classic. Yeah, it has 5 modules. Right? The idea is that WebDriver BiDi is as comprehensive as WebDriver and CDP, but using standards. So, good news is this is happening. Now, both the WC3 web group is working in BiDi. Also, the browser versions are implemented BiDi, and also the tools maintainers are adopting BiDi in their APIs. In Selenium 4, we are already a first implementation of BiDi, and in order to enable, we simply use browser opt-in like that. And simply with that, we are preparing the browser to communicate with this WebSocket to this new protocol. Here you can see an example about log gathering. This feature was completely not possible, for example, in Firefox and in previous releases, but now, thanks to BiDi, you can easily get all the different types of the console using this new recommendation. Again, you have the example in the repository, and I recommend you to take a look if you are interested in this. So, I'm present to the end, more or less. I have two more things to say. First, it's about the Selenium ecosystem, right? The Selenium project has 20 years now, and in this road has made great achievement, in my opinion. First is that it's not only the tool itself, not only the library, but there is other tools, other testing framework based on Selenium, right? You can take a look to this page of the Selenium documentation, the ecosystem, in which you will discover that, for example, there are complete testing framework built on top of Selenium. One of them is Selenite. Selenite is a testing framework for Java, right? So I said at the beginning that Selenium is a browser automation library, but we have complete testing framework also for Java based on Selenium. Selenite is one. Selenium base is the same approach, but for Python, and what's here is the same approach, but for Ruby. Then we can start talking about the WebDriver ecosystem, right? Because this specification is great not only for Selenium, but also for other tools. For example, Nightwatch, which is JavaScript, WebDriver.io, which is also JavaScript, and Appium, which, well, this time it's for mobiles. So Appium, under the hood, also this WebDriver specification, which is, I believe, good news. And finally, we can start talking about the BiDi ecosystem, and that's very, very good news in my opinion, because Puppeteer, this tool that was created by Google, started using the CDP protocol to communicate, and 1 month ago, I believe, they are supporting also BiDi, right? So they are using also BiDi. Currently, they support both protocols, so support CDP and BiDi. So yeah, I believe it's good news that Google also is adopting a standard for the tool. And similar happening with Playwright. Playwright is a testing framework for end-to-end testing created by Microsoft. And very recently, it's like 2 weeks ago or something like that, I saw a conversation in the Playwright repository about the adoption of BiDi. It's not yet implemented. They are discussing, right, the Microsoft team. But I believe that's good news, that they also think that BiDi, it's a good standard for them as well. So with this, I'm almost done. But to conclude, I want you to propose to make a quiz. It's not an exam, it's a quiz in which, if you want to participate, you can win a t-shirt like mine, right? I am going to give 3 t-shirts to the top respondents, right? So it's a t-shirt about the 20th birthday of Selenium. So if you want to participate, please join this application. This is not the one. We are here. There are 49 people participating. It's five questions, by the way, 5 questions, and 4 options per question. There is only 1 correct answer. You have 30 seconds per question, and speed matters, right? Selecting the right choice will give you points, but doing fast will give you extra points. So at the end, there will be 3 winners, right? Yeah. After that, by the way, after this talk, look for me, because I need to collect your postal address, and I will ship you your t-shirt in your size. So we are okay. We can start. Ready? 30 seconds, right? Okay. First one. Which language is Selenium Manager developed? Easy. Okay, time's up. Most of you said Rust, and that's correct. It's Rust. Selenium Manager is Rust. Java is for WebDriverManager. So let's move to the second question. Which tool provides automated browser management through Docker? So yeah, most of you are correct, because it's WebDriverManager, right? Yeah. Let's see next one. When will Selenium 5 will be released? So yeah, no one said Nintendo Switch, but yeah, there is no official date for Selenium 5. Most of you are correct. What's the mechanism used to communicate browser in WC3 BiDi? 4. It's 4. No. It's, of course, yeah, some people say 4. Yeah, I wish, it could be funny. But no, it's, of course, WebSocket. And the final question couldn't be other than that. What is Selenium? Yeah, that's a simple one because, as everyone knows, Selenium is a chemical element with atomic number is 44, but also a browser automation library. So let's discover the winners. So Robert, Andy, and Joe, congratulations. And yeah, look for me after the talk. And if you want, I will ship you a sheet like this with a different color if you want. So with that, I'm done. It's 3 minutes left. Not sure if we have questions, but in any case, thank you very much.